So let me get this straight. Wendy is on the bottom of her tribe. She hurt her foot during the challenge. She's causing a commotion about the chickens. And Chris goes home. Okay, this is why I love Survivor, because you never know what's going to happen. Except I kind of saw this coming from the edit of the episode, but I mean, still, like, nobody expected that to happen. Just like from a strictly objective standpoint. Like, you should never, like, there's no reason to keep Wendy except for the fact that there could be a swap soon. Like, that's the only thing I could think of. But I mean, like, I guess it's worth. I don't know. It was an interesting vote. I kind of liked it. It was a nice blindside. First blindside of the season, really. I guess. Nah, Keith knew pretty much. Also, I am getting over a cold, so that's why I kind of sound like this. Sorry about that. I will try not to sniffle. Welcome to the episode 3 analysis of Survivor Edge of Extinction. This was a better episode than episode 2, for sure, in my opinion. It was just a lot more interesting, a lot more was actually going on, and there was a blind side that's always fun, and there were just more fun scenes, I don't know. So, in the previously on Survivor, it reminded us again that the comma returnees, Joe and Aubrey, are in trouble. So, I don't really... So they're, like, really pushing that they're in trouble. So that could be foreshadowing them having trouble with something in the future, or, like, them getting, like, taken out. Or it could be foreshadowing the swap and how they're, like, lucky to have made it to the swap without having to go to tribal, because it saved them from being one of the early boots. And then it shows... I found this interesting on the rewatch. I noticed that in the last time on Survivor, it said that Chris wanted to bring in War Dog, and it showed, like, Chris revealing secrets, which is what ended up getting him kicked off the show, which I thought was an interesting nod. So I need to pay attention. I'm, like, trying to figure out what I need to pay more attention to figure out the edit during the episode. So then the edit also, in the previously on, it gave credit to War Dog for making the move to take out Keith, which was interesting, because it seems like David talks about a lot of the plans, but then, like, his plans always get, like, changed or altered by somebody else. And last episode it was War Dog. Episode 1 it was, I kind of forget, it was kind of just everybody. And then this episode it was also War Dog. So they're giving a lot of credit to War Dog, which is, I mean, it looks good, but it makes me worried that he's gonna flame out too early. Also, shout out to War Dog for listening to the podcast. It was cool to see you comment. And then they go to the Edge of Extinction, and we get Reem talking about how she feels responsible for Keith, and how she fell into that motherly role, which is really, like, as I was watching this, like, as I was watching the episode, I was like, no way, like, that's so cool how it called back to, like, now the scenes from episode 1 make so much sense, where Keith, I am obviously a mama's boy, and then Reem was like, and Keith was saying how he sees Reem as, like, a motherly figure, and then Reem was like, okay, I could be your motherly figure, but you gotta man up or something. And now it makes so much more sense, because now they're the two on Edge of Extinction, and Reem is only staying because of Keith, which is just, I love little things like that. Like, that's so cool to me. And then we got this was the whole stairs thing. So to be clear, Reem could have gotten food on, like, day 1, right? Like, if she had just gone exploring and gone up the stairs, like, she could have gotten food. Is that how it worked? So those bottles were just there as, like, a, come on, guys, like, look around a bit. So, like, Reem could have gotten food day 2, and she was like, yeah, man, I haven't eaten anything for the last 6 days. And Keith's like, really? Like, what? So I guess he just kind of took her word for it, and then they got these bottles. Then they go to the top of the mountain, and there's a little bit of rice. I kind of like that, how they have to, like, work really hard for a little bit of food every day, just to keep reminding them how bad Edge of Extinction really is. That would be so difficult. Now that I think about it, to, like, have to live there every single day and just know that you have, like, a slight chance of making it back into the show, and that there's a more than likely chance, especially now that Chris is there, that you're not going to make it. I don't know. But I think that Reem is going to make it to the first challenge, and then, although recently I'm kind of thinking that she might not even make it to that. Like, if she's talking about Keith being the only reason, then when Chris comes in, she might be like, well, I mean, there's literally no chance that I'm going to beat Chris. So, I don't think she's definitely not getting the edit to get back in. So, I'm not really sure who's going to, I mean, like, how far she's going to make it. She's definitely not, I don't think she's making it to all the way to the end. I feel like if she makes it to the merge, and she loses at merge, I think she'll just call it quits there, which is probably her best bet. Like, I mean, I want her to stay to the end because, like, Survivor, like, that's what I would do, but I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like she's definitely not getting back in, that's for sure. And then we cut to the reward challenge, and a few things I noticed was that War Dog, like, when Jeff reveals the chickens, War Dog, looks excited, and he's like, chickens or something like that. And then it cuts to Wendy, and she looks kind of like uncomfortable, and that was good foreshadowing. And then Manu wins for the first time ever and chooses the chickens. They win because of Chris, by the way, just saying. And then Wendy hurts her foot during that also, which is a plot point. And then back at Manu, the whole conversation between Rick and Wendy about the chickens was really interesting. How, like, Wendy wanted Rick to be her accomplice in releasing the chickens, and Rick was like, no, no, that's a horrible idea for your game. So I really like Rick. He seems to be really social, and just able to connect with people on just like a personal level, which is really, really good in Survivor. So I have high hopes for Rick. I really like him as a character and as a player. So we'll see how his game plays out. I could see Rick making it all the way to the end, but actually maybe not. Like, David's called him out, or not called him out, but like said he's like talked him up, saying how good of a social player he is. I think Rick's gonna be taken out as like a social threat later in the season. And then I think it's Rick who says like she's a lovable emotional nut, or maybe that was War Dog. Somebody said that about Wendy, and that like perfectly describes her. And the whole thing about the vegetarian, we'll get to that later. But then at Kama, this was a really interesting episode for Kama, actually. Like, the Kama tribe is just more interesting, I think, because like I'm looking at my notes here, and I have like 3 things for the Manu scene, and then I have like a list of 20 things that I want to talk about for the Kama scene. So I don't know, they just have more people. That's really it. Like, oh, also, I think it's 7 people. 7 people didn't get 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 7 people didn't get confessionals this episode, which really worries me about like the edge of extinction, because Reem got 3 this episode and Keith got 2, and it's just worrying. Like, I don't know. I don't like that. Like, leave the game to the people in the game. I don't know. Like, we didn't hear from Lauren, and she was on the losing tribe, and there was only 7 of them. Like, give me something from Aurora or from Ron. Like, Ron hasn't spoken in 2 episodes. We only got 1 thing from Joe, which I'm fine with. Or like Julia. Give Julia anything. Like, come on. Julia still hasn't had a confessional. It's been 3 episodes. That's just, I don't know, that's kind of rude. Like, honestly, just give her something. And I love people have noticed that on Julia's bio on her on the website, her number 1 pet peeve is being ignored. I found that really funny the first time I saw it. Okay, so Kama Beach. Victoria is like the narrator of Kama, it looks like. Sorry, my cold's catching up to me. And then, so it seems that like Victoria lists off the names. Victoria, Julia, Gavin, Ron, and Eric are all in an alliance. I think 5 of those people are the ones that haven't gotten that didn't get confessionals. Yeah, literally every one of those people didn't get a confessional except for Victoria. And then Victoria says that Aurora is the returnee. I have really high hopes for Victoria. She's the narrator of Kama so far, which is really good. Like, her and like Aubrey kinda are the narrators, but Victoria's kind of doing a more like overall picture thing, and Aubrey's just kind of talking about her and Joe, which is fine because like that's needed too. But I think this is better for Victoria's overall game. And then Victoria says Aurora's with the returnees and is like the only one with the returnees. And I think if it said like if they lose they're gonna get one of them, but it like the camera stayed on Aurora for the longest time, or like for the entire time. So I think that they would get rid of Aurora if they had a chance. It'd be Aurora or Aubrey because like they need Joe for challenges. But now that we're swapping, it really could be anything. But I think Aurora might be the next one to go, actually, just from the swap. I don't know. She doesn't have like if she gets put on a tribe with a majority comma, she still might go because like the Manu people, like she has a connection with the comma people except for Aubrey and Joe. There's still 6 people that she's not aligned with, which isn't good. Like she could easily just be like a good compromise vote to take out Aurora instead of like David or something like that. Like I could see Rick working it so that Aurora goes home instead of David or something. And then comes the dumbest part of the episode, where Victoria talks about voting out Joe while Joe is right behind her. I don't know why. I don't know how she didn't see that, because Joe was like there was nobody else within like 200 feet of them. Like all she had to do was just look around, and I just don't get it. How did you not see him? But I think she played it off well. It would have been worse if she had done that and then been like, oh, nothing, like nothing at all, and then just kind of went on with it. But instead she was like, yeah, I think you and Aubrey are a pair, which I thought was a good move on her part, because if she kept it secret, it would have made Joe like even more sketched out. And then Joe is also an idiot. Like, come on. Joe says, I feel like his confessional. I feel like I just can't get a read on Victoria and Ron. He says, I might be on the chopping block. It's like they were literally just talking about voting you out in front of you, and you still aren't sure. Like, what part of it are you not getting a read on? I mean, I like Joe as a person, but he's just not a good Survivor player. Like, I don't think there's a single scenario that Joe wins Survivor, except maybe this season if he comes back at Final 5 and wins one challenge, and then wins his way to the end. But that's the only way, and he's with 2 unlikable people. But that's the only way I could see Joe winning Survivor ever. And it says Joe's looking for redemption like Aubrey. They said they're both looking for redemption, which is interesting. And then Aubrey with the idol. But I found what she said was really interesting about, like, before she found the idol. She said she wants every experience of Survivor, and 2 of them that she hasn't gotten yet is winning and getting an idol. And then she finds the idol and checks one off her list. But does that mean she says she wants every experience? So is that like, is that a winner quote? Like, that's a pretty good winner quote if that is, because I would really like to see an Aubrey win, because I really like Aubrey as a person and as a player. Like, Go Wrong, she was really good. And Game Changers, I was rooting for her too, even though I knew there was no chance of her winning throughout the whole thing because of her edit. But it was still really interesting to see her play, and I'm glad that she's getting airtime this time, because Game Changers was so disappointing that we didn't see like any of Aubrey at all. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Aubrey finds the idol, and she like cries when she finds it, and she says, I love this game so much, I'm gonna make it work for me. So that, like, she's definitely going to overcome this situation that she's in, probably by making it to the swap without going to tribal. So like quotes like that, like I love this game so much, I'm gonna make it work for me, is a good indicator of like if they're going to succeed or not. Because when Lauren found her idol, she didn't say anything like that, which makes me think that she's going to like either play the idol incorrectly or not really have a huge impact on her game. Maybe I'm wrong. There's a large chance that I'm wrong, but we will see. I feel like Aubrey just has like a better chance of going farther than Lauren, just from what we've seen so far. She has a more complex edit than Lauren does. Lauren is just kind of like, yay, I'm on Survivor and I'm doing well. But Aubrey's like struggling and like overcoming obstacles already. Anyways, this is one of my favorite parts of the episode. There's just so many like little funny moments in this episode that I love. Like when Wendy's calling herself a hypocrite, and like the whole thing with the stupid chickens. Oh my god. Like, I would feel uncomfortable about killing the chickens, but I wouldn't stop my tribe from doing it, because I would want to go farther in Survivor much more than a few chickens, and I'd get to eat chicken. So but I would understand why it was important for us to do that. uh, War Dog and Wendy start to fight, and War Dog's like, I love how War Dog was like, I will, um, like I'll believe you that you're vegetarian, but and I'll be your friend and I'll support you, but like the second we get back to the States, if I see you have a single piece of meat in your stomach, I'm never talking to you again or something like that. War Dog, he just has like so many funny quotes like that. He's like seems to be a really good player, and he's entertaining too. He's like, I don't I don't want to say Tony-esque because he's not as chaotic as Tony. He's kind of like, I don't know. War Dog's like chaotic good, where Tony's like chaotic neutral. Like War Dog's not even that chaotic. He's just kind of. He's just War Dog. Like he's his own guy. Like that's the thing. We need to stop comparing players to other players because people are their own people, and they are their own players. Like I need to stop doing that because I compare people to other players. Like I remember I was comparing people to Wentworth last year, and stuff like that. So just I need to stop doing that. So War Dog is War Dog. He's his own character. He's kind of, I could see some similarities to Tony, but War Dog is like, I don't know. War Dog's very entertaining as well. And then I guess what really reminds me of War Dog or of Tony is that War Dog has all these like memorable quotes, and how he wants, or how he's like also really he's good strategically as well. I think War Dog's still my winner pick, but I'm feeling less after now that he's getting like more credit for stuff early on. It's making me worried that he's not gonna be able to pull it out because he's just getting like too much too soon. I don't want him to flame out, but we will see. He's still my winner pick. And then Wentworth talks about how she wants Wendy out, and she says, "If you come after me, watch out," which is I think also foreshadowing for when she finds out Chris is coming after her, and then she goes against Chris and takes him out. I guess the edit gives credit to War Dog for taking Chris out, but it's kind of like a group effort, I guess. And then the immunity challenge, Wendy keeps up the immunity challenge despite her foot, which is interesting. It shows, I guess that's kind of like justification for why they send Chris home, because like casual viewers aren't going to be like, well, they might know that they're going to swap soon. Like I think casual viewers will be like, but Wendy's so weak, like why not vote her out? But then if they show Wendy like keeping up at the challenge, then it would stop them. And like Jeff makes a point of saying that too, like Wendy, despite her foot, still moving really fast in the water. And then at the end of it, like as they're walking back to camp, David says his senses tell him that now's the time to target Wentworth, which does not happen, which is not good for David's edit. I mean, it's not bad because he has justification telling why he wants to change it. I think, like he says he still wants to take out Wentworth, and he's working to pull in Chris, and he doesn't want him to tell War Dog, and then Chris tells everybody. So, well, first of all, we get back to Manu, and then Wendy steals the Flint. Oh my God, I forgot. I didn't even list that in the opening. She stole the Flint and stopped them from making fire to kill the chickens, which is just a horrible move. She played it off really well though. She's a decent liar. She was like when Rick and David were questioning her about it, she was just like, well, what do you mean? Like I didn't Chris have it this morning or something? Like she, like the way she said it, it was like I could see me believing that if I didn't already know that she took the Flint. I mean, I don't know. Circumstances, like she should have done it more sneakily instead of just going to camp, taking it, and then running off the beach. Like that was very suspicious, but that one lie was decent. I'll give her that. David still talks about how he wants to take out Wentworth, and then the really cool shark imagery. There was like a shark swimming around in the water right before David goes to talk to Chris. So it's like David going in for the kill, and then David talks to Chris, and he gets Chris in, and then David doesn't want to tell War Dog, but Chris wants to tell War Dog because he's, quote, open with everybody in his real life. Oh my God. Why'd you come on this show if you don't want to lie to people? Oh, anyways, Chris, that was not a good move for Chris. He should not have told War Dog, obviously. War Dog trusts Wentworth more than Chris, which is a horrible part. So I'm trying to get it straight in my head. So Chris told War Dog because he trusted War Dog, and he didn't want War Dog to not trust him. But then him telling War Dog made War Dog not trust him because of Wentworth, because he was tighter with Wentworth. So he told Wentworth, and then War Dog and Wentworth wanted Chris out. So it was just a horrible move on Chris's part. Chris hasn't had much of an edit, really, over the last 3 episodes. He's just kind of been here. He was talking about, like, loyalty and how he, like, it showed last episode how he was revealing information to War Dog about stuff, which I don't know, isn't that good for War Dog? But not when he's going after his ally, I guess. I'm, like, still, like, battling myself in my head trying to figure out if it was smart or not. I think it was smart. I mean, especially because they're swapping, it was definitely smart, but that's kind of result-oriented. But, I mean, they had to have known they were going to swap. I don't know. I think it was a good move. But it's very obvious, or not very obvious, but, like, War Dog gets credit for the move. Like, they show War Dog being the one to talk about, he's like, maybe it's time to take Chris out instead. And I was like, whoa, like, that's a powerful quote, because, like, that shows that, like, what War Dog wants, War Dog gets, which is good. And then he goes to talk to Rick about it, and Rick's like, whoa, like, good thing that he knows I wasn't going after Wentworth, I was going after Wentworth. And then Rick was, I like Rick a lot, he's really entertaining, he was funny, and then he called himself a villain, which it might be foreshadowing. Maybe he'll be, like, the big bad. Maybe he'll be the one that, like, flips on everybody. Maybe he'll be the Ty from Go Wrong. I doubt it. He seems too intelligent to do that. Not that Ty's unintelligent. He played a very good game in Game Changers. Just saying. Flipping back and forth is usually not the best strategy. And then right before Tribal, it shows that David is, like, in the swing vote position, even though there really wasn't a vote to be swung. Like, that wouldn't have done anything if he changed his vote. It still would have been 4-3, and not Rick, what the heck, and Chris going home. So I don't know why they gave him that edit. It really, like, any chance of, like, it was obvious that Chris was going home, because it just, like, there's no lead up to Wentworth going home, and Wendy is just, it's too obvious for Wendy to go home. So I don't know, and, like, after they started talking about the Chris move, it seemed set in stone already. I don't know, but back to Rick as a villain. I would actually like that. Just having Rick as a villain, that'd be a very entertaining villain. Okay, and then at Tribal, I liked how War Dog said he sees some War Dog in Wendy. That was another entertaining or good, like, quote by him. And Wendy was like, yeah, you know. Oh, one thing I forgot to write down, but it was right after she stole the Flint, and Lauren was like, they were, like, talking about it around the fire, and then Lauren was like, that's psychotic. And then it cuts to Wendy, and she's like, I stole their Flint. It was so funny. I love little stuff like that. Like, just them talking, and then, like, instant, I forget what they call that. There's a word for it, but, like, where it just, like, instantly gets answered with something. It's really funny. I don't know. I love stuff like that. And I found it interesting. During Tribal, David and Wentworth were, like, that was, like, really bad acting on their part. Like, they were both very obviously fake arguing. Like, how David was like, we're taking out the biggest social threat. And then Wentworth is like, what? Like, what? What are you talking about, David? And then David's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, it was just it seemed very, very fake. But good thing Chris isn't very observant. I mean, not that he could have done anything about it, but I don't know. Still. Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I guess it seemed a bit unnecessary, but it was decent strategy. I don't know. It didn't work out very well. And then, I forget what Rick said, but he said how the comma hadn't gone to Tribal yet, and Rick was like, yeah, we've like really we've been strategizing for 3 days. We're way ahead of the comma tribe, and I think that might be like foreshadowing to Manu, like, in the end not taking over, but like surviving Kama. I don't know. I think a Kama member could still win the game, but I think that they're not going to get picked off by Kama, because it's like an intentional Matt Zing, but not intentional. It's just kind of like they're a smaller tribe. There's only 6 of them left now, and they're gonna swap into 3 tribes. And I don't know. I feel like they won't. Because people on Kama don't know who's with them yet, because they haven't voted. That's actually like a huge detriment to your tribe. If you haven't voted together, that's crazy. That's like one way to make sure that your tribe's gonna break up and like go into different groups, because you don't have that sense of trust with each other yet until the first vote. And if you do that on a swap tribe, it's just a lot harder to get a read on everybody and trust everybody. And that's how people get blindsided, and how first votes change the course of a season, which I'm excited to see, because Kama don't really know like what they're doing yet, which could be very bad for them, which I'm excited to see. I think I said that already. So I think that Kama's gonna have a hard time during the swap, but we'll see. I feel like Manu could pull some strings and get, and I don't think all of them are gonna survive to merge, but I feel like a few of them definitely will. But like, I feel like most of them are gonna survive to merge. I'm trying to think. I don't know if Wendy will make it to merge. Rick, War Dog probably make it to merge. Lauren could be swap screwed now that I think about it. Kelly and David, they're wild cards to me. I feel like David's making merge. Kelly's probably making merge. I don't know. But then the votes come down. 5 votes Chris, 2 votes Wentworth. Chris and Wendy are the only 2 that voted for Wentworth. So Wendy was out of the plan once again. And then I like this quote from Chris. He goes, like, when he looks at the torch, he just like looks at the sign, looks back at the torch. He's like, "Screw those guys! I'm getting back in the boat." It's like, yeah, you go, Chris. I'm excited to see what Chris does on Edge of Extinction. I hope he gets like more time to speak on Edge of Extinction, because we still don't really know Chris very well at all. So it'll be interesting to see just how he handles Edge of Extinction, and if he's like actually serious about getting back in or not. I hope he is, because I wouldn't mind seeing more of Chris, because I don't feel like we've seen all of his potential. Like doing the I don't know, I feel like the telling War Dog thing isn't, it was a good idea behind it, but I don't know, it just fell short, obviously, because of War Dog. But he just trusted the wrong people, I guess. I don't know. I feel like he could do decently if he got back in and merge. Well, then maybe not. He might be just taken out as a physical threat right away. We will see. Next time, Wendy, on the next time on Survivor, Wendy releases the chickens. Why did they keep her? So Wendy releases the chickens, and I forget what she said. She said, I don't know, something about being crazy. She didn't have an accomplice. Rick did not help her. But I like how Rick said, back to like the first scene with her talking about it, how Rick was like, "I won't tell on you, but like you probably shouldn't do that." So like Rick's really chill. Like he just goes with the flow, and he just he knows what to say to the right people to get in their good graces. And he's really good socially. It's like he's friends with everybody, which is interesting. I'm excited to see how his season plays out. I wouldn't mind seeing Rick back again. Oh, why am I talking about that already? We're like episode 3. I'm jumping the gun a bit there. And then we swap into 3 tribes, and we don't know the tribes yet, unless they're on Inside Survivor, but I haven't checked it out. Yeah, I don't. Let me see if it's right. Yeah, I just want to see if it's on the website. Just real quick. No, it doesn't look like it is. Oh well. Okay, so we don't know the tribes yet. Or at least I don't. So I don't know why, but I have a weird feeling that Aurora is in trouble. So, for the reasons I said earlier, I said it was either going to be Aubrey or Wendy going home this week, and I was close-ish. Like, Wendy would have gone home if Chris didn't screw up. So, well, I guess it would have been Wentworth, kind of, but we'll see. So, my call is Aurora going home if her tribe loses. If not, I really don't know. If I knew the tribes, I'd call one from each tribe, but I don't really know the tribes at all. Let me look at the list of players. We still haven't. I still don't really know Eric and Gavin, like, at all. And Julie, we don't know much about. I can't wait to get to know more of Kama, because we really don't know much about them at all. We know a lot about Victoria, Aubrey, and Joe, and that's it. Like, Ron, we know kind of. Julie, we don't know at all. And Julie, we had the one thing about the idol, so I don't know. I really don't know. But, so my call is Aurora goes home next episode. I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling, and I'm going with my gut. That's pretty much it. Leave a comment saying what you think about this episode. I like this episode. This might be the best episode of the season for me so far. I think it goes episode 3 is the best, episode 1 is the second best, and then episode 2 is the worst. Episode 2 is kind of boring. But next week, hopefully, will be exciting. Tomorrow's episode. I might be able to podcast. I'm home on spring break right now. So I might be able... Actually, I'll definitely be able to podcast about this one earlier than next Tuesday, which is good. So, like, I can leave more time for discussion. Because I don't like releasing it so close to the time the episode comes out. Thank you guys for watching. Tweet at me at Let's Talk Game _ because Let's Talk Game was taken. And check out the website, letstalkgame.com, link in the description. Leave a comment saying what you think. Leave a comment. Saying what you think about the swap and what you think about this vote. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Shout out again to War Dog for listening to the podcast. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next week. Peace.